What's up, everybody? Welcome back to EU League. It's Pwns versus Team Secret, and it's time for us to get started for game number 2 of the day. Welcome back to the Analyst Desk. I'm Miloš Stemetic. With me are Fresh and what's your name again? Starts with a D? No, it's Fabian. I'm just making sure that we have our D's dotted at the end of the show. Welcome back. We're going to have a chat about these two. Now, you know what I'm talking about. Let's start off with Pwns on in the beginning. The squad that's come in that has had a lot of chatter on socials about them.
Yeah, and I think if you look at their roster changes, there's the chat is rightfully so, because you take a team that was second at 6 Invitational and you change 4 of them out. Objectively, the only way you can upgrade that team is if you go and win 6 Invitational, 2023. So I think it's a little bit questionable, and it maybe speaks to a split between, roster and organization and whatever else has gone on. What I will say is, they've brought in some experience, they've brought in some players where you do wonder why. Exodus, for example, coming in from Hellraisers, didn't really go that positive in Challenger League, so a step up to EUL. I know, you was with Andreezy at Delta Project as well, and he had some troubles in kind of the tier 3 level, I would say. So it's a step up for a few of these players, and therefore I think a lot of people, maybe even the team themselves, have tailored their expectations accordingly, that this isn't going to be a roster that's, challenging up at the top of the table.
Sure, they might have put themselves down a bit and expectations aren't as high for themselves, but the problem is that those expectations for supporters and fans, they're going to be at the same level. Because you're not just dropping 4 of your players, you're basically picking up 4 guys and saying, hey, we have a new team, and they're just expected to perform at the same level. How they'll do it, I don't know. I'm going to say I don't think so, but that's just personal opinion.
Well, what about Team Secret on the other side? One of the 2 teams that are completely unchanged. 10 teams, 8 of them have changes. BDS and Secret do not. So what can they offer here, Fabian?
I'm actually quite, I wouldn't say surprised, but I think it's a good dedication to keep your players. Because if you know that the issues that you have to deal with and you don't change out players, I think they're easier to work with than having to pick up someone new, then find the issues with that person and have to try to work with them on a new level. So I think that they might actually have been doing one of the smartest moves here, because we are looking at a lot of rosters and thinking that they're making bad changes that we feel are worsening their teams.
Yep.
Well, Secret had a rough season last year, let's not pretend, but when they know their issues and they can work on them together, I think that they did a smart move.
I think they showed a lot of character. So, from the end of Stage 3 in 2021, they had from mid-October to prepare for their relegation game. They go 2-0 down in a best-of-5 in maps, and they showed a lot of character to come back and win that. Since that point, which was, the middle of December, they've had almost 3 months now to prepare, keep the same roster, keep the consistency. I'm sure they took a bit of time off, obviously, as they should, have a reset, but then have, let's say they took 2 weeks off, 2.5 months to really prepare your team. And I think that's why we talked about tailored expectations. I think expectations with Secret have actually tailored up a few places that they could be in that kind of middle of the pack, maybe even challenging for top 4 if, you get them on a good streak.
That's my expectations of them at least, and I hope they live up to it.
Yeah.
Map bands ready? Let's go and have a chat about them. 9-map pool. We're going to have 8 removed, 1 left as our decider, and what will be Villa here. Pwns had the final say, and they'll take out Cafe Dostoevsky. That looks oddly like Chalet, and Pwns will start off on the attacking side on Villa with Secret on defense. Jack, does this favor anybody?
So I think Pwns, as a roster and as an ethos, they've generally not liked to go to the new map. Skyscraper theme has already gone out of there. They never historically liked Chalet, so I'd expect them 3 to be their first bans. And I think that's why teams, I spoke to Titan, the coach of Secret. I said, where do you think? I said, it'll potentially be a Cafe or a Villa, because, we like those maps and we think we can get that out of them. And they were the last 2 maps. So I think Secret are very happy and will be very prepared on that map.
I think it can be actually a good thing for Pwns. If we look at it, they have 4 new players, right? They haven't had loads of time to play with each other. I mean, we're talking about February is when they played Invitationals. So getting to a map that has quite a lot of rotation space, you have a wide map that you just need to take a lot of basics. I think that if you have a team that's not as coordinated as maybe they need to be at this level, if they get this sort of map, they can just run around and rely on the individual talent to actually uplift what you're lacking in strat. But I'm not saying that they're lacking in strat. I have no idea, right?
Yeah,
We've literally not seen this team.
it is
could we
very
know?
difficult to figure out when it's a completely different roster and a completely different way of approaching the game. In this case, you kind of have to look at, well, what did these two used to do on this roster, and what about these two over there? So Secret look to be, okay, they're grounded, they should be ready to go. What are Secret's strengths very quickly as their lobby is ready to get into this, Jack?
I think character, the fact that we know that, as I said, they were down 2 maps and then to come back and complete a reverse sweep of maps, it just shows a bit of mental resilience and fortitude. It was something that was their weakness going through the whole of 2021. They worked with a mental coach, they improved it, and I think it's the same kind of, if they can improve it further going into 2022, then it'll go well for them.
And I think another point that's going to stand for them is also that now that they haven't changed players, they all, looking at the players that they have, they all fit roles that are independent from each other in terms of, we have the anti-fraggers, we have the support players. There are a lot of other teams that don't have that, where it's not as clear and people have to change. So I think that keeping in your preferred role, in your comfortable role, is going to be something good for them.
Well, Fabian, Jack, thank you very much. Let's then toss it to our casters. We're going to explore Pwns and what this new roster can offer versus Team Secret, who barely made it through EUL, survived in it. Got our casters ready. It's Happen M. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milos, and we're back. We're back in the EUL.
We are.
So excited.
Are you? Yes, I am very excited.
The names are backwards. Well, that's just...
I'm now Captain Float.
I'm no longer excited. No, I am. Not even that can throw away the excitement of going into EUL because, well, it's our home league. And let's be real, EU, we haven't been doing too hot on the international scene recently.
No, we have not, and Milos brings us up literally every single time.
He does. He sobs.
When it does get closer to a major, he's like, we expect so much out of you.
Yeah.
And
I
every
hear
time
him in the
disappointed.
hotel. I'm like 4 rooms down.
I hear
and
him
I'll
crying
hear
every
him
now and then when I walk past
sobbing.
as well. It's just
About
you.
you.
Why are you no longer the
Now
same
we've got
state?
obviously Fabian in,
Yeah.
and he's not gonna mix words.
Yeah, see, NA managed to get a 2 times world champion on the broadcast.
And
We
then
had to
they
get her
win
out.
SI.
Yeah,
So we've brought in a
Exactly.
2 times champion to our team, and maybe let's not get ahead of ourselves though. Start of a year, and we've just had 1 game, and here we have the follow-up. And as mentioned before, Secret, well, the end of their year last year was almost a sadder story.
It was. They were quite close to the bottom parts of that scoreboard. They managed to stick in the league in the end there. It would have been very possible for them to go out there at the end.
It was Hellraisers they were up against, and
It was.
a couple of those players, they're in this lobby.
Yeah,
today.
they have made their way to EUL nonetheless. So, well, of course, not with the original roster they wanted to make it with, but they are here, and that's what matters at the end of it. Bands are coming through. Of course, it will be Villa. The Florist kind of makes sense to me, as the RC Reteros are just so strong. If you want to get rid of any piece of utility, let's just say, for example, a shield on top of the main stairs, very easily getting rid of that one with a RCE. Thatcher also so very much on point, and the rest of them basically nothing too out of the ordinary, I'd say. Valkyrie, a lot of hiding spots. Mira, well, the architect that is in the game for now. The other one is soon to be joining us after the major.
Secret, one of only 2 EUL rosters to not make a change coming to the start of this, alongside BDS. And as they sort of talked about on the desk, let's see what that can lead to, because it's a long period of growth, and we've had teams with long periods of growth. And Siege sometimes becomes this learning lesson of, is a roster at its strongest when it's been together a long time? Does it have that growth? Or is it a factor of trying to make these little changes, or trying to make these bigger changes, or seeing what can stick? We've kind of got a taste of all of those different things, and one of those big changes is the roster that they're up against here. Obviously, as we said before, a couple of these players are from Hellraisers, the team that couldn't quite beat Secret, couldn't get promotion as the stack that they were in the sort of setup that they had. Emision and Exodus and Flarezo, who is an analyst now for this roster. WTG obviously was in another tier 1 team last season alongside or playing against even Scyther, and then you know, they all have their own experience.
Yeah, it's basically a full new roster that we're seeing maintained or put together from different kinds of rosters. 3 of them to be exact, and it's going to be the question is, will they outdo the old? Or are they going to be struggling at the start here? I think that is this game here. It's going to be that start. It's going to be the proving ground for the roster, because there was a lot of talk about them, whether or not the right move was made picking up these 5 players. And, you know, they get to prove themselves now in this game here on Villa as the start of it. It's going to be longer than just a single game, but it should be a good start playing against one of the bottom teams, just as a bit of a benchmark.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation coming to the boots of what was the strongest team, and we'll never truly know what happened there, but it has no bearing on these players. The only thing that does is the game that they can put ahead of them, and here, a chance to get a bit of a pip the post against Secret, a team that couldn't quite find much. They were dicing with death at the end of the last split. Well, let's see if the lack of changes can be something that leads in. Scratch fights over the top of red. Emission is deep underneath, seeing if you can try and catch a singular body. There's a minute 20 left, and you can see that Pawns are slowly taking a little bit of control over bedroom, a little bit of control of kitchen. They're kind of shepherding their way across the building and sort of funneling the players in to be able to find the first. WTG gets Slevin at the top of the stairs, and Kendrew just pulls himself back as Gumphy suffers not long after, and this red takeover is slowly forcing Keenan into a slightly worse position.
It should have been a kill there that we saw from, I believe that was Kendra before, but he missed the opportunity, and as now the heavy push seems to be coming from the landing side of things, as Keenan is sort of a bit of a last man and last line of defense there with Packbull as they're trying to hold up desperately. 44 seconds in the meantime. There's also some pressure coming on from the study side of things, so soon Secret will have to worry about a 2-front attack.
And you can see now that with that 30 seconds, there is this whole amalgamation of the Pawns players around that strategy side table. They know where the plant's going to come in. As the second smoke pops up, and Treasy goes down, and the frost mat sprayed and dropped on the opposite side, but now that window is a free pop in. It's a free take and another canister. They're going to have about 5 seconds if they want to go for that execute. They have an idea. Someone's coming down a long corridor, a slow creep from 90, and there's a little bit of a preamble with a statement. The grenade forces them off the hold, and it's the cover coming through from Study that locks it in, and there's a return and a bit of a response, but they don't know. The player's been able to slip through, and, well, they don't see much after that. Pawns open up with the opening round.
Very solid first round here that we're seeing. Some quick control being gained from the Astro, from the trophy and statuary side of the map, and quickly pushed on to entry kills, actually, from the side of Pawns. It's very helpful, considering they were on that final attack in a 3v5, damage done on some of those members already, so you can afford to lose a player to these frost mats. And actually an important thing that we saw there is that there was 2 players near the study side. What we very often see is that there's just a singular player out there with a diffuser, and he gets stuck then by a frost mat because they didn't bother to check, or by the player that was on the main stairs. Not the case this time, of course. There was a second one there just to make sure that if the first one dropped, there was a second able to still continue that pressure. And that is what you can do. When you have that 2-minute advantage, you can just commit more resources towards these different areas of the map. So, well played there on that very first. And as now frostmats are being set up for various jump-ins or repels, again, hoping to find some openings here on the side of Secret. Need to make sure that they do not give away these entry frags that easily.
So Villa, after a little bit of a false start there for Secret, but to be fair, AVG has, I'm not going to say it's fallen out of favor, but people can definitely attack it a lot better than they could about 6 months, let alone a year ago. It's sort of become the statistical position that I think CC fell into on Clubhouse, where you have this expectation, you know how to broach it and how to approach it, and more often than not, on these opening sort of rounds, you're seeing the attackers who can drive this pace, take the defenders a bit by surprise, and it's usually the second swing round that defenders find success on AVG here. Kendrew, he's a bit of a first blow here, sprays some attention through, but as they set themselves up on 90 window, as they set themselves up on Study, the players have been able to slip away out of danger, and yet again we play this shepherding game of pushing the Secret defenders off of the territory that Pawns wants.
Yeah, well done. It's now just a simple fact of droning here. They need to figure out whether or not AVG is going to be clear. That is, of course, the case, and they're starting to push through now. And because they all shepherded them back towards the actual side, it gives you limited angles you actually will need to check afterwards, as well as not having that worry about a big flank coming up. Andrezi also setting up a flank drone there. That is just to make sure no one will be sneaking up the red as soon as the execute does start to happen. You know, it could still be that you have a full 5-on-5 execute. There's actually a player from Secret, I'm not quite sure who it is, all the way in the basement, just hiding there with 90 seconds left on the clock. It doesn't seem like anybody will be hunting him, though. It seems like everybody seems to be going either through landing or through the bedroom, and a stat tree plant is most likely what will be up next. There's a minute 20 on the clock. Kendra is inside the closet there. Is going to get spotted out and taken out by the window as well. Well played by Andrezi there, who opens it up but a little bit further and gets his head removed by Keenan.
Well, there it is. The first time Secret's been able to find an immediate response to one of their players going down. And here, they're still going to try and move in behind it. You can hear all the flashes popping on the door of the statue itself. They have a bit of a crossfire. They have an angle, but you don't have a lot of safety here without that wall open. WTG, he's popped himself into a close corner. He might go for the plant, and he's going to see how far he can get along with it. But that C4 is a different idea. Swung out, but popped from behind the shield. Doesn't have the safety he thought he did. But now that diffuser is a little bit isolated, the rest of the players force their way in. Exodus gets a great take, but there's a tucked-in corner and a bit of a misspray. It's suddenly a 1 versus 1. Keenan, he's secretly found his way around onto this bit of a quad kill on the back line. An ace would be the clutch it out here, and with the diffuser close by in 20 seconds, he just needs to hear where the player's coming from. He is well aware, and it's a bit of a scratched spray round on the door, but they've got the diffuser and got out of there. They're going to see if they can try and potentially bait the play, and the stick, he's behind a shield. And there's a leg, and he just went for it, but it's an ace from Keenan, our first, I believe.
I think so. We've casted a couple of quad kills. But that was APEC, actually, yeah. So it's definitely going to be the first ace that we've seen here. Well played by him. I'm not quite sure how he managed to sneak around so many members of Pones. Also, that plant kind of was a bit odd to me. Of course, Lekker drones probably set up around the side. No information whether or not he was going to go and commit to that swing. And Secret will find their first defensive round as well. Well played by them. And now they need to try and continue that. They want to go for, let's say, 3 rounds, 4 rounds at the minimum. Make sure that Pones doesn't have too much to play with here. Either way, after that one, we are headed back towards the Aviator and Games room. Of course, they cannot go back to Trophy Stat Tree until, I believe that is round 5. That is when it unlocks again. So until then, they will have to try and find different sites to pick up these wins from. And AVG, of course, the one that was pretty convincingly won by Pones the round before, is the one they will go back to. And then that's due to the fact that the top 4s are just so much easier to hold on to. It might be due to a lack of verticality, no hatches that you can be attacked from. It's just a bunch of windows on the study side they can go and walk in from. And of course, if you have 90 control, that basically locks out any piece of entrance. But yeah. It is going to be the question whether or not they're going to be able to hold on this time.
Keenan is probably looking around a little bit like, all right, lads, whenever you're ready. As he's currently sitting as the only player on the team with any kills. They've been a little bit taken by surprise, but you can somehow build behind the momentum, or you can just turn the corner and take the head off of the opener there. Pack entirely torn apart. Sleben not quite able to react or respond, and well, for the second of 3, we've seen that entry kill go away from them and no immediate return fire or punishment put back onto them. They still have some structural integrity. It was a very bold idea and take to just try and go for the swing there and put the pressure on, and well, they're going to see if they can dig in underneath this time, and it's a massive alternate to the take they did last time, where it started on bedrooms, started on the opposite side in kitchen, and found their way here. This time they're sort of playing against Secret's expectations.
Yeah, they're going for a different direction here, and grenades obviously are still going to be the driving force here. We have a couple of them, 6 in total, 4 are left. However, those will be used to try and find some players in the direct side. Default spots will be naded. Think of the bar, think of the vault. Maybe even somewhere at 90. If they find some success there, they know the site is suddenly a little bit safer to go for. But there's some sound that is being made currently from these main stairs. Flashbangs are coming in. A grenade will be tossed in from the top as they try and rotate out. Perfectly read. Sleben loses his life.
That was just so pieced together well, and there's one more. Keenan taken care of. The only player to find a single kill on the side of Secret is now out of the round. I can only watch and hope that Gomfi and Kendra can try and connect some of these dots. over a minute left, and they still have bodies underneath the plant spot and where the strategy table is. They've been able to get control of the staircase itself as well, and you can see Gonfi's trying to go for a bit of a bite just to take some of this momentum and territory back, but with the drone in the corner, with the players underneath him with such a man advantage, well, it got even worse there. Kendrew, he's able to almost get rid of one, can't get the confirmation, at least finally finds that. The long arm C4 doesn't, oh it does, just get Exodus, peeking a little bit too far outside of the door there. But here, a post plant, wow, with a 5-2-1, it was only really gonna go one way. Second round for Pawns.
Second round and then coming in, and they tried to go with 3 people through the rotation one by one there. It didn't really go well. It was a bit of a traffic jam out there, and that allowed them to go for that pickup onto that first and eventually find the second as well. So good attempt by Secret, but again, completely annihilated onto that side, and that means they will have to change it up because, well, they can run it another time before trophy stat comes back online, but do you really want to if you've already lost it twice in a row without any wins in between? I don't think you want to. And that's why they're headed towards the living room. Or no, living room,
not the
dining
living room.
and kitchen room at this moment. Both ends with ing.
I mean, that's a really wide net.
Yeah, it is a very wide
It's a really wide net to cast.
But I need to get an excuse.
Yeah,
somehow.
you have to find one. Yeah.
But yeah, no, they headed back headed towards the bottom floor the first time, of course. Again, the frost coming out, not seeing that much greatness from it, except for that first round where it caught off an operator. So I'm not quite sure if that is really helping out right now. Maybe a pulse would have been a better choice, of course, if you decide to, well, hold up to that top floor as well. That way you can, of course, try and get some nitros in from below. Of course, there's only one on the hands of Kendrew, but it can be so valuable on this side, especially. Like, a lot of teams do attack this from the top floor down.
The attacker runs here so far from Prince, I think, have been really, really well tied together. A bit of a questionable one onto the split site and Trophy Statuary, but otherwise, the way they're playing with their utility, the aggression to just try and keep Secret on the back foot throughout this entire thing has been so well put together by a roster that hasn't really been put together for the longest amount of time. Here, still droning themselves ahead, they're sort of keeping the jobs and the roles basic, and well, the mission just really wanted to get inside there, takes care of a Banshee, and then slips his way out, but still, the freedom to just swing onto a door and the confidence to be backed up by it, it just sort of emphasizes how Pawns are playing throughout this game.
Okay, opening onto the pantry there. Mate, with those Selmas is going to try and provide at least a single opening here for set opponents, but they'll look to find some more. Scyther jumped down. He's holding this very tightly. He's expecting someone to be in China, and this grenade might actually land right next to Kendrew if he's not careful. Instead, it's the L85 that gets the kill. But Gonfi sneaking in from below is looking to head up towards those pantry stairs, but he's very afraid of a potential drone being around the corner somewhere, spotting him out. He just shot it now, and that means they do know he's down there, though.
That's it. It'll give the game away, and getting the intel is the most important part because it means that they might still be cautious. But look at this caution. They're sort of saying, well, we know somebody's down there. They might have a stretch and extension, so let's try and dig our way into the site itself. They have a bit of a body and a bit of a presence above, but Pack is really that only true extension onto the site. And as the Selmas start to pop its way through, I believe, the washing room and where those laundry machines are, it just gives them a little bit more attention to be paid here. Scyther going for the long-range grenade just around to the back of the corner where Packpool was, but he has since removed himself as they're just trying to apply some pressure, still forcing them, and as they find a little pocket of space, WTG is going to see if he can stick it behind the chassis. There's a take. Scyther gets the first, gets the second, lining them up with a mission, finding one more, and once again, Secret, well, they're entirely brushed aside. A flawless here for the Pawns side. I'm always going to struggle pronouncing Pawns. Is it?
So I don't know. I think it's Pawns.
Pawns?
Pawns. Isn't it?
I'm looking to my resident Zoomer.
Pawns?
Fresh.
Yeah, it's Pawns.
Pawns. All right, cool.
We have a TV channel or a news reporting channel in the Netherlands which is called Pwned.
Oh.
So it's it's a well-known pronunciation for me.
Just good. I'm glad that you can educate me on these pronunciations. And Secret, yeah, this was
it's expected, right?
needed.
They're completely being picked apart here. They only found a round on the back of an ace.
And they've only found...
Only
one other player has found a kill.
So they have 6 kills in total, and one of them was
8 kills in total.
8
Because in
kills,
the opening
yeah.
round, Keenan got 2, but still, only 2 players have been able to put aggression back into what is a very aggressive side. And as I said before, a well-played and placed aggressive side.
Yeah, definitely so. And you cannot take it away from Pones here because they're absolutely countering everything Secret is doing. Their attacks are just so efficient as they move through. They get rid of these anchor positions where a lot of utility is placed down, but unfortunately after that, Secret cannot do anything anymore. They try and scramble back towards the side they hold secondary positions, but the gunfight isn't going their way. It is Pones that continuously outgun them, except for Keenan, of course, who was able to pick up that ace. Sneakily, though. I'm still not quite sure how he did it, whether or not he snuck in from the bathroom and then went all the way through, picked him up one by one. If that's the case, if he did get those kills from bathroom, then I'm quite confused as to why the plant went down at the same location twice.
I'm not surprised to see the Ossa gone. It was sort of driven on their last attack here, but it didn't really have an effect. It didn't bring anything else. Whereas look at the effect that Pones is having. They're just charging into these engagements. They're charging into the firefights. They not only trust that they can win out their engagements of ones, which is so important in this game to have that confidence, let alone the actual success to be able to do it, but then there is so frequently another player on the shoulder, or in the case of an unfortunate rotate, 2 players on the shoulder. And I think that's that sort of drive that Secret, yeah, sure, they're on their defense, they're sort of battering against the storm, haven't been able to find the response to.
No, they haven't. Sorry, I went wrong there. Either way, they haven't been able to find any responses yet. I quickly had to cuff because
Yeah.
Too
many words.
Too many words going out a bit too quickly there. But yeah, they haven't been able to find that response, and that's kind of the worry, right? Pones has been able to successfully attack every single point they approached. Of course, they headed back now to the point where, of course, they lost out on that initial clutch. Is that Saito just running in? Yes! Gets taken out as a result. Exodus finds a kill. However, that's going to be the smoke canister denied as well right before it. But the rotate's coming up. A chaotic round as WTG just swings in.
This is exactly that sort of demonstration I was talking about. Is previously we've had these runs from Pones every single time, apart from the last time they attacked the site, where they just drive themselves in. They go, we need to be here, and I'm going to fight this dude. And it worked, but Secret had responses this time. They have not really been able to muster this at all. They've not been able to find a kill within that sort of 3 or 4 seconds, and I think the quote, I think it's by Super, where he says, if you don't get a kill within 7 seconds, it's lost. Don't try and then commit to that. You don't have it. And here, that's that setup. That's that game that Secret need to respond to. Andreezy, he's putting some pressure on WTG. He's just going to plant behind the chassis of the bomb, and they've got this cut off, as you said. Smart, well played. They have all the rotation. The C4, a second too late, and they're just able to slip their way into a post plant.
So just in time, the plant got off and went through again. I'm not quite sure if the plant came down in concrete. No, it didn't. So that could have very well been a kill there, and now they need to go for a retake here. It's going to be Keenan and Kenderu both together trying to make this happen. Keenan takes a lot of damage here. They're both near that diffuser, so someone could technically go for that cover as the other one tries to go for the defuse, but it's WTG that gets the first. It gets swung on, however. It's a 1v1 situation. Kenderu needs to clutch this out. He's in the doorway here. This is a free kill for Andreezy, who picks up the round and puts Pones up 4-1.
4-1, well, it spells a little bit of a worrisome story, but at least we've seen Secret fight back, which we haven't for a long time, and it's not just that sort of singular round they got from a singular player getting an ace. It's not a flawless or a 5 versus 1, which we saw a couple of. They were responding. They were responsive. If they can just try and get themselves to a 4-2, it still isn't great, but at least it's a bit of momentum. It's a bit of a story. You've used your attack timeout. Now try and use that conversation to drive yourself into this a little bit more. Kendra, Impact Ball, and Gomfy able to get some destruction done in the previous round. Now it is a very different scoreboard on the right-hand side of our screen than it was the round before.
Yeah, Pack and Gomfy, of course, they were able to pick up these kills on that initial rush. So on the initial explosion, we're able to slow down Pones quite a bit. And, you know, they still lost the round in the end, so you might wonder how much did it matter if they weren't quite able to translate it. And it's a very good question. However, if they do manage to slow it down just enough, I mean, it did come down to a 2v2 in the end. That is very winnable for the defenders. They have time going in their favor. However, the big issue is that the remaining defenders weren't exactly on the sides. They needed to rotate back in, and Dreezy was out there. What are they doing?
They're just...
Oh, they're waiting for a potential spawn kill, I guess.
No, they're just putting a coin in the well.
Or maybe that. I mean, they were standing still
Making
10 seconds there. Make a wish that they can win the next round as well. Put themselves at 5-1 in the score. Not quite sure. It might have been afraid for a spawn peek. Might have been just trying to not give away any information as they flick camps.
Either way, it's the slowest approach that we've seen from them in a while, and I guess they're a little bit concerned. They were very good at changing up their attack the last time they were here. They went for an entirely alternate push, and I guess they want to make sure that they can sort of keep that guessing game going, because they're confident trying to attack from both sides. They're confident making a push happen from bottom to top or across the top. And I guess they're trying to weigh up their potential pool of the secret players. Where can they force them, and what awkward positions can they put them in? There's a bit of a shoulder that just shimmied and shaked its way over that opening. A little bit of a wiggle round, mainly for their own safety, as their mission has some attention here, but early use of those smoke canisters is just going to keep them at bay for now.
Grenade being used is not going to find anybody behind the bars, so they know that no one is most likely going to be playing out there. Instead, it's still two players near those main stairs. And we've seen that before, of course. Back then, gunfights together with some grenades and some flashbangs allowed them to take control of that top floor area. And potentially that's what we're going to be seeing again right now. They know this is going to be contested. They will hear people stepping around in that position. There's going to be a big change up here for the side of Secret, because there's someone going on a bit of a flank here, whilst the rest is starting to prepare, I believe.
Well, that's it. You can see they've sort of tried to cast a net, but it is the shortest it's been able to be put together here. They don't have any ground, any territory, and usually at this point they've either taken over half the control of the map or at least taken out half the players of Secret. But here, the difference is Packball, he's played his utility early, he's expecting the push to come behind it. Instead of just trying to play the gunfight, just play the utility. Here it is. A burst comes around and a shotgun meets 1 and 2. It's a bit of a drop on Study as well as they get that body down, and obviously they've been able to take out somebody in the meantime as well, so they double off Keenan and Packball removed. 3 versus 3, but still Secret, they're finding responses, finding ways to push back against this approach here coming from Pones.
Player in 90 is going to be very crucial here. Gomfi in a position where he can shut down a classical Hall, so basically forces them to go through a Study push. But even then, he's going to be able to just swing out on top of landing there to stop the plan from happening. There's 15 seconds left. They need to decide now, and it seems like they might just as well go through this wall here or try and plant right behind the strategy table.
They have a bit of shield, they have a little bit of attention, a little bit of a swing comes through, connects to one, but locks to the main one, and there it is, a cold diffuser, a down player on the door itself, not going to be able to get it back up because they have the lockdown. Secret, they're still stern-faced and serious. They know this is only the start. 4-2 on your defense isn't good, but the team that we've seen over the past 2 rounds, not even counting the round that was a success, is one that actually has some fight into this game.
Yeah, there is definitely some fight here. They need to bring it a bit harder, though, during this attack. And, you know, I said it during round 5. You know, it was a 2-on-2. They did slow them down a little bit. Unfortunately, this time they didn't pick up the round. Now, they slowed them down without losing the players. You know, pushed it up to a 5-on-5 situation in the end there. And that's actually what allows them to pick up that round. Backball here with that shotgun, using the Cybertruck. Pretty sure some people are going to be trying to downplay this play here just purely because he has the Cybertruck all along.
Listen, people have their preferences of their
sites. Of course,
sites,
I'm not judging. I'm just saying I can name 5 people.
I wouldn't use the Cybertruck personally. It's not my go-to.
I use Reflex B, I think it's called.
Reflex B.
And Reflex B.
I'm still kind of attached to the classic holographic, just because it's what I'm used to.
See, I like that one as well. It's just it blocks so much of my.
It does. I need to get used to using other sites.
Yeah.
I'm just stuck in my ways.
We don't like change.
I famously don't like change. We've had a change of half, a change of sides, and a change of approach. Kendrew. Bring in the Ying here. Going to see if they can try and potentially drive that in. It has this idea of danger and a bit of a debonair play, but it's making those dots connect, which isn't always the easiest thing.
Now, the hatch being open there is going to be raising some question marks on the side of Secret. It's, of course, there to allow rotation from the players of Pwns who are on that defense. So in case they do need to drop down, in case the pressure does need to come down on them, they have multiple ways out. Of course, drones are coming through, and the balcony and the bedrooms are the first to be occupied very soon by the side of Secret. There's still other ways to go back. You could either go through the hallway, you can jump down from in between, but that's slamming on a rappel. On a very long angle, very hard to challenge here.
Yeah, I was going to say, it allows him to get to putting pressure onto 90 quickly, as well as keeping a control on that. And those are two big flank watch windows. Those are your two catches, as we just saw played perfectly there. It was a different style to how Pwns went for it. Pwns had a quick bout of pressure inside the building, but didn't try and get the kills on the fleeing, rather went for the sort of face-to-face engagements. Here, Secret a bit slower. They've used a lot more time to finally start finding themselves inside the building. The first players there are making their way through. Otherwise, they haven't really had a huge presence. But it's been able to get them that early body. It's been able to get them a reward that is potentially more impressive than just time.
Now, there is a couple of Goyo Vulcan... they're no longer called Vulcan shields. Are they just Vulcans now?
Hot pockets.
Hot pockets. Well, there's going to be hot pockets placed all around the site here. And those spread for quite long, deal quite a bit of damage there. And both the default plants are currently being covered off with it. So what Secret needs to do is waste those two hot pockets. They need to get rid of them, because otherwise there is no planting. The first one pops, so that allows the plant behind the strategy table to take place in roughly 10 seconds from now. But the second one closed on the vault door is still there, and it is still placed. There is no utility currently in place to get rid of it. This smoke will definitely tell them what their plan will be. These Candelas might actually stop them from being able to do it, and as the smoke canisters come through, Pack is planting in the middle of the smoke there. They have absolutely no clue. Oh, he's losing it! No! The smoke gets it in the end there, and that means that the diffuser is cold on the ground. It's a 4-on-3 still. A big advantage here for Secret.
But you're looking at only about 15 seconds left. The 4 versus 2. They have time on their side. That big cost before, and that door is still locked. There's a huge rotation coming through onto the stairs itself. WTG is watching one side, and there's the crossfire onto the other. They have to see if they can just catch that last player to stick it. Kendra is all that's left, and WTG just has to find him. No! Kendra somehow clings on a sliver, a split second. No time was there possibly else to be used between popping your head up from that kit and putting your finger on the trigger.
That was too close for comfort there for the side of Team Secret. They tried to go and plant in that smoke with the hope that the smoke canisters of Smoke themselves, a lot of smoke in 2 sentences there, were not able to reach him, but just in range, just enough taking damage to stop it from happening. And it almost went the right way. Maybe if the second swing from the vault didn't happen, it would have been a better opportunity to try and take it down. But WTG, so close there. 2 amazing gunfights. One only had to find the last, but they had, you know, not really a clue where he was at that point. He could be either behind the vault door or close around the corner. Wasted a couple of seconds there, maybe half a second. That would have been enough to get the round in the end. And now 4-3, Team Secret. A second clutch round win. As they, of course, they were in the lead, but the timing not really in their favor, especially not with that diffuser down. So, well played by them. And Pwns now need to try and get back into this game here before Team Secret is going to be able to sway that momentum fully, because a round win like that, for a player like Kendra as well, is going to really elevate his mood.
I mean, that's it. He is a player. He's a sort of figure that works on energy, and he brings a lot. And I think what we're looking at here from the side of Secret is that is such a burst utility setup attack here. You've got the E1Ds, you've obviously got the Candelas, you've got no hard breach at all. They're going to try and hit themselves onto the rotations and the funnels that are otherwise provided. And to be fair, on this site, sure, the classic wall to get through is that one that leads into the bedroom and the site itself. But when it's this heftily electrified, when suddenly you're playing a game that's a minute long of trying to get rid of that electrics and get the wall open, Secret disagree with that idea. So they've pulled away from their hard breach. They've instead stuck Packball or Pack onto the line, and they're going to see if they can try and get some control of the players itself and just burst their way through. A similar approach that Pwns had.
It's funny how after a couple of years at Coastline where hard breaches were necessary, teams are now starting to implement the we don't need a hard breach onto
Not
different
even a
maps here.
gadget.
We can just outgun them, you know, use flashbangs, use smokes to block off these angles, and an E1D to guide us as well. We might find some success here or there. We'll find out whether or not Secret is going to be able to find success here, though. Round 8, a important one for them. They have the opportunity to equalize the score here, put it up to 4-4 instead of being down 5-3. Because then suddenly Pones are very near a singular point here. For those of you only just returning after the 6th Invitational, we are back at our old point system where it is not old, but I mean, we play 1 map, so not 3, so we cannot give it away in the base of 3 maps, which means an OT win is 2, an OT loss is 1, and as it starts to push in, this might be a very good position from WTG here.
Yeah, there's a big loss there by Kendrew.
Oh,
And there's a
double
big
one
gain by a shotgun. Those pellets spread wide, and so does the reach of Pones. They're able to get a little bit more on the opposite side and put themselves just in that point of preference. Perfect positioning, perfectly played, and well, the response to an E1D sometimes is to just get aggro, take that initiative and force it back into their side. 2 grenades in the pocket of Gomfy, and otherwise that is all they really have for a chance at getting some aggression into the site before they just try and, well, spruce and juice themselves up and see if they can charge themselves through via the ability of the Finker. The wrong side for WTG. He's able to just tuck behind and hold on. 20 seconds. They know they've got to try and creep and crawl their way in, and WTG's doing the same thing. A smoke canister in pocket, but the shotgun seems the actual read-in that he wants here. They haven't even picked up the diffuser. They don't need to. There's one more. There's the hole with the SMG on the opposite side. There's the canister. It nets him a kill, but it's Exodus to get one more for Pones and make sure that they keep that back and forth going.
A single pump and 2 injures from that single shot. It's not something you see very often here, but definitely a saving grace here for the side of Pones, because that suddenly took out all the momentum that was inside that attack. The entire plan relied on those 2 being able to make it in. Even if it was just 1 surviving, that was it. And just a singular pump completely destroyed that. 5-3, Pones are closing up into a match win here. And now to get back to the original point I made, for those of you who are new or only watched the 6th Invitational, we just witnessed this 1 pump again. Both go down. There's the Candela bouncing back, and the 2nd pump finishes the both off there. Well played by WTG. Wanted to use the smoke here, actually lost his life as a result there, but back to the point. A full win, which is a 7-X, and the X needs to be below 6, of course, otherwise we reach overtime, is going to be full 3 points for the winning team. 0 for the loser. If we do reach a 6-6, we head into overtime. Whoever wins the OT will get 2 points. Whoever loses it gets 1. So that's for those of you who do not know. And that means that this round 9 is a very important one for Pones, because that is where they can lock in their first point. But it's also maybe even more important for Team Secret, because if they don't win this one, the full 3 points are off the board. They can only try and come back for a 2-pointer.
And let's be honest, sure, it's the opening Playday and there's eyes on a lot of these games, but there's probably most of them directed to the Pawns roster. It is an amalgamation of a lot of different entities. It is stepping into what was previously very big boots. And it is a bit of a statement game to be able to get off to a lead. And sure, it's against Secret, who didn't have the best year last year and were fighting relegation, but still, to suddenly be in a position where you're able to take your opening game and your opening pace so quickly, after being at the bottom of pretty much everybody's predictions for this year, could be a huge boon to them.
Mission this time getting by without being picked up. It's Exodus actually with an opening kill. Keenan gets destroyed by a C4, and this is that bit of adaptation that we saw from Pones even when they were succeeding on the attack, where they won, but they saw something could be better, and thus they changed it. They now knew that a lot of the pressure would be coming in from the, well, not study, from the trophy and statuary side of the map. Thus they decided to go for a little bit of a C4 there, get that kill. As a result, put themselves up a singular man. That's an extra gun in their hands, and that might have been a difference maker in the last time Secret attacked here.
Comfy just trying to find little pockets of space and make sure they can watch for the approach on the flank. Now that they don't have that body advantage, now that they've lost Keenan as the thinker, who has been a bit of a drive for their pushes and approaches here, well, suddenly they have to be a lot more cautious of the chance of somebody springing around behind them. But Pawns have actually pulled themselves pretty much entirely back to the side itself. They still have a stretch, and you can see Secret is moving into that space. The Wake is slowly becoming theirs. They have hard destruction this time, but only pretty much a pocket full of pellets left, and you're not looking at any breach charges, so if they want to pop open the potential of Vault and get rid of that mute jammer, if they want to see if they can try and do some destruction elsewhere, or just use them to burn through gates, well, it might come here as Scyther steps up to the door and stops that approach.
Still a bit of denial left. The Sleben finds a mission. Somehow still a hot pocket in pocket. He's not going to be able to place that one anymore in any useful place. And it seems like the diffuser actually wants to head in from the classical hole here. Well, the smoke canisters and the Candelas again going off on the other side. It's a distraction move. Backbull swings in, gets a double kill before he gets taken out. It was the third man behind the bar who drops a diffuser, but allows Gomfy now to go for a plant opportunity. 17 seconds on the clock. Two men near the left side of him on that east. One right behind the bar. Scyther needs to clutch this out if he wants to put them onto 6 here.
Well, a different approach there. Secret learned a bit of a lesson from the last time they went here, which is let's not all go in the same door. Let's see if we can try and apply some pressure onto the backline. It worked out this time. They had all of the sort of showmanship of that approach with the Candelas onto the red and onto the strategy table itself, but that single play, that single bit of unexpected movement there from Pack, that is that lesson that Secret's been able to drive. It's still a bit of a back foot. They are still suffering on their approach in that entry game, but there's still a couple of rounds left. Some time here. They could try and find one more and pull themselves even.
I wonder what the call there was. It's like, boys, let's do exactly the same, but different. Right? It's like, we go for the same setup, the same smokes, the same Candelas. We just toss everything in there to make them think we're going to try it again. And then we just head in from the classical hall. We pick up the kills as a result and go for a plant. Third man behind the bar, though, unexpected. It's good that they managed to get the trade in the end there. Otherwise, that would have been problematic. What else might be problematic is the fact that the floor, not really lava, but very explosive right now.
Yeah, 4 C4s and a pulse to back them up. You're also looking at a huge limitation on the information being played by the drone game with the Mozzie and the Mute combination. It is structurally risky, I think is the easiest way of putting it here for Secret to try and go for a top-down approach and attack. They lost out to a player on a C4 on the previous round, and sure, this is a site where this isn't the most outlandish pick, but still, they have a weakness to it, and they've got to make sure they have some caution to be applied. The Ying is also the first time we haven't seen her on the approach here from Secret. They don't think it can work on this site. There is that attacker repick coming in for them. But will it be something that can actually lead to a little bit of damage here? Exodus suffers a little bit early on the first scrape, but not enough to lock him in, so he can still cause some damage.
Stun's looking to go through the drone hole. They might be afraid that someone is there, so maybe just a quick stun to check. Or if the drone spots someone, to go for a stun so they can go for the jump in afterwards. For some reason, Kendrew hasn't actually checked. Not quite sure if they're going to go for it either way. There is mute jammers, however, blocking these. Kendrew does get taken out as he jumps in, but the trade is instantly there from Gomfy. Pack finds one as well. It's a 3-4 situation now. Again, a man advantage here for Secret. With a minute 50 left on the clock. But the explosives still around. 2 of them to be exact. 1 gets spotted, 2 get spotted. They now need to try and find the perfect moment to strike at the perfect place. Calling them out, but of course concrete not really a viable option if you want to blow that one up.
That's it. They're just holding themselves in a position where they're not going to suffer as of yet. They are cautious. And here, Gomfy, they're going to see if they can try and creep their way through. There's a C4 that doesn't quite get the full pop and the read on them. The previous room where Keenan was dropped the round before. Emission's still doing everything he can just to feed and filter this intel. They're sort of setting themselves up and guessing and angling for the potential approach of where they're going to come from next, but it's a stack up here. No real way round onto the hard destruction. The mute jammer just stops the read on WTG, so Pack's going to set himself up on the window, see if he can try and swing through onto the pantry side, but WTG moves down the stairs. He's keeping himself just out of eyes and just out of arm's reach of that player, but you're looking at Pack having the kit in his pocket. You're looking at a very dangerous removal, which means he can't quite go for the swing in by himself.
Checking the drone again, but he might not be able to fully check. Oh, look at that. He just went in to destroy the Mute Jammer. The grenade, however, lands at a perfect strike. I'm not quite sure if they knew exactly that he was there because the drone pushed on, but at least that's going to be a very good kill. 2-on-4 situation, 30 seconds left. Now they need to dig in deep. Now they need to get the diffuser down on the ground because that's everything to play for here.
Gonna potentially go just for the plant on the other side of where those pellets are popping off. There is still a bit of intel in the core of the room. They have that pulse. They'll have a rough idea, but Pack, there he is. He goes to stick it behind that solid wall with the spray and the cover coming just over the top. It's a no versus 4 Secret. They're able to pull themselves level after a very rocky opening to this game on the 4-1 on their half. They've really warmed up here onto their attack.
Rocky opening on the start as well, of course, taking small amounts of damage here and there. I was going to say, like, even if the C4s don't net the kill, if you put someone down to 20 to 30 HP, there's still just going to be a single shot in the gunfight afterwards. And of course, you prefer to actually get the full kill, but it's not always possible. Tactical timeout used by opponents, and that's, of course, due to the fact that if they lose the next round, Team Secret find a point, and they have the opportunity for the full 6. So that's why this is a very important one right now. Need to make sure that they are the ones heading into it with the best possible odds. And to some extent they do. They're allowed to go back to the site that they were able to win beforehand. But after that, there is still something that needs to go right if they want to pick up the full 3.
WTG's lamp is really, like, confusing me.
The lamp?
Yeah, like, look at all the,
Oh,
like,
look at that. It's
wisps.
moving, yeah.
It's cool.
Moving lamp, maybe?
I mean, what else are you supposed to... There's always interesting things. Who was it about the, like, RGB
I
kitchen?
think it was joystick, right?
I first choice. That might have been Shepard. Anyway, other teams, other rosters, and a 5 versus 5. Another Secret. Because, let's be real, the one that we saw before their tac timeout was not really a team that was putting in any effort. And I guess if you're looking at this Pawns roster, we've talked about how important this game can be. Well, let's see how important that tac timeout can be. Maybe it will be the thing that has the same effect for them as it did for their opponents here. Granted, the immediate round after the tac timeout was not a success for Secret, but what they're able to do after that has been this, a return to form and force, and being able to find some of the fight back into this engagement here. Still, both teams are only 1 round away from securing a point, let alone the 3 that they both so desperately want.
Of course, especially for Team Secret, who were facing relegation last year, are looking to start this stage off with a bang. They want to get those full 3 points. That's always a good way to start, especially after you played that grueling relegation match against Hellraisers. You're able to come out of it on top. You need to find 2 more rounds for those full 3. Again, we do see a little bit of a aggressive lineup coming through. No hard breach again. Doesn't mean it cannot work. E1D going off. You know, last time they got stopped by a single pump. That's basically how they lost their round. So if they managed to avoid that this time, let's say a grenade from underneath, a grenade through in that corner, it should provide him a little bit more safety.
Comfy. He's been able to get his way onto red now, and with this sort of 2-story split that they've set themselves up here, could punish a player that tries to rotate up if gone unsuspected. Obviously, they still have some utility in pocket with a couple of C4s, and they have the Astro Stairs if they want to go for a rotate on the opposite side. It's not just forced onto red, but this might draw a little bit of attention and focus and sort of say, well, we might need to move. And there you can see a slow shuffle up the Astronomy Stairs now, and Pawns are just filling themselves back in. Minute 30 once again, and outside of Gomfi sort of bursting his way through, another slow approach into the building by Secret.
Slowly but steadily. Trying to find an opening here. It's 5-on-5 still. And I want to make sure that they don't make the same mistakes as that they had before. They're starting to collapse towards the site, though. Landing will be taken here by Pack and Kendrew. Gomfi already, of course, on those red stairs. And now they are debating whether or not to go for the B or A bomb site. Both are, you know, somewhat split. It's not directly the rotation. It is a little bit of a walk around. So they need to choose wisely. It costs you 5-6 seconds or something.
There it is, the smokes, the candelas thrown as far and as deep as possible. Pack is just going to try and move his way in. You can see a little bit of movements coming from underneath. They do still have C4s, and Keenan has a double kill on the split in the cover. Exodus is going for it, but he goes for the wrong side. They thought he'd be close on the door, and Comfy and Andreezy find a kill either side of a door itself. Andreezy buried behind the chassis, and Exodus pops up and locks off with a shotgun. Suddenly a 2 versus 2. A huge rotation from a Secret outside the either side of the building. They're on windows, they're on doors, they're trying to get some cover, but it's a lockdown from the opposite side. Andreezy still inside the side itself, the only player, but he doesn't get the right angle. Secret, they've guaranteed themselves a point from this game, which looked so far away before. One more round, and suddenly they've got all of them. And Pones, well, one more chance to get anything from a game that you put so much work into.
And now it's getting very close here. Secret, they looked so close of actually winning that round. 2 rounds, or 2 men left, and then suddenly everything fell back. Pones was able to come back into that round. They were able to bring it to a 2v2 clutch, with one being quite close to be getting the diffuser there. It's just that the cover wasn't there. Like, you know, there's 2 angles you need to challenge. You need to challenge Concrete. At the same time, the window jumping comes through, and you need to go for a guess there. Which one will challenge me first? And that's exactly the wrong call made there in the end. It was the one from Concrete that got that first kill at the very same time as the jump in came from the window, and that finds you in that 1v2 situation where you're on top of that diffuser, but you cannot really stick it because there is one on your Concrete door who can swing you at any time. There is one coming in from the landing as well. And that puts Secret onto 6 here. A singular round left to get the full 3 points. And it looks so far away. You said it before, Pones looked really to be the controlling factor here during the start of the game. But the saying always goes, there's 2 sides to a game of Siege. And in the second half so far, Secret is coming out on top of this one, as that is a suppressed FMG that will be run by Nuck through that basement. And that is most likely to get in somewhere sneakily. Of course, that's the whole shtick of Nuck. And is trying to find some opening kills, maybe. It's just a bit of a shame that the car alarm went off as soon as he started to open the door, so that gives away something at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a really built-in proximity.
It is, if you hit it.
It's a very specific proximity, but it's there. Summons the Horde.
Coffee just sneaking through here, through that pantry, headed into the kitchen, into the dining. No drones ahead of him, though. That's always a bit of a worry, because that means that you need to check these angles. And whereas you are invisible to cameras, people can still hear you, of course, with a bit of a reduced sound, but you still make noise. It's not like you're completely silent. He needs to be very careful here. They need to make sure that everything is safe. And I mean, Packball is somewhat droning out for him now. Not exactly every room he goes through, but rooms that are connected to it, however. And a minute 30 on the clock. Pones are looking to hold off for 90 more seconds to find a single point.
Where is it going to come from? That is that worrying moment right here for Pones. They've pulled themselves back. They haven't gone with that big extension that they've done before. They've sort of given territory away, and for Secret, it's come at the same pace. Scyther almost suffered there through the top, and the second grenade, well, it doesn't get them either, but it does put them in a trickier situation here. They've pulled themselves back. They know there's a bout of pressure, and can the man with the magical goggles be anything to try and stop the rest of this approach? Scyther's able to get that revenge. Kendrew goes down after throwing a couple of those grenades in. 2 more, and no more results there. It's sprayed from above and just saw the side of a player, just saw the side of a body. Can't get the full sight, though.
And that means they stay alive. 40 seconds on the clock, and the grenade being tossed into the vault as well. Scyther still lives. 3 of them survived now. They cannot get it in deep enough there, so he's relatively safe in that position. And as the smoke canisters head off, that basically blocks their entry right behind the vault door. Comfy's still around here. He needs to make a play happen. I'm not quite sure what he's still doing downstairs. There's 22 seconds on the clock, and it seems like we might be headed towards overtime here if Secret don't make a move quickly.
That's it. They've sort of stumbled here on the final block. Pack cannot force his way through. They don't have all the smokes in the game that they can play before, and the discs are burning. That gate stays solid. Keenan, he does a bit of work, but with only 6 seconds left, they just have to do a little bit less. The diffuser goes cold. It's a 2 versus 1. Sleben, no sight or shot on the other players. We are going to OT.
It took us a while in APAC to get to an overtime, but we are here on the very first Playday, second game of the European League, and we're instantly going to OT, and that means that both these teams have secured themselves a singular point. But I'm not sure what that last attack from Secret was. They were trying to get some kills with the grenades, of course, looking to find the player in the vault. However, no luck there. 3 or 4 grenades tossed in, and Scyther still lived. May it be with about 20 HP or something like that. But he lived, and that means he can still fight. That's still a gun on the board. That will help you out there. And the rest of the team just kind of slowed down after that. They didn't have the opening. They did not know quite what to do there. And they just froze in their tracks. And that is something they need to prevent from happening during this OT. Otherwise, Pones is going to be able to win their 2 defensive rounds, because they have 2 of them. Of course, not statistically favored by the way that this match has gone. I believe it was a total of 8 attacking rounds and 4 defensive 1-1. It's not something you very often see here at Villa. And now, Secret looking to find another attacking round here.
That's it. The change here has been, well, they're going to stick the man with the magical goggles because it pulls away from Secret's approach. And you can see, obviously, there's no longer the Ying on the board. You can see that they've sort of pulled themselves into, I mean, sure, there's 2 smokes there, and Sleben could try and throw them, but how big that burst utility was in terms of just trying to get Pack into the site, seeing if they could pop an E1D and keep some control here, it was huge. But WTG hasn't had a fear of swinging into those plays, even when he didn't have magical goggles that can see through that danger. And I think that's one of the things that sort of forced Secret into a slightly different approach, an approach that on the previous round just did not work, and gets off to an even worse start this time. Mission gets 1, WTG gets the next, 2 locked off instantly.
Is that balcony gone as well? It was a big point of pressure for the other rounds here. Of course, once shut down by a double pump, and now just by some automatic gunfire. Scyther finds another kill as well. It's only up to Pack and Keenan here. A very quick round. This is at the start of OT. Pones is looking to bring this one home, but still 2 minutes on the clock. Pack and Keenan, there is so much to play for still. There's so much time to try and lock these players off one by one, and it's up to Pones to make sure that that doesn't happen as Keenan finds the very first, and well, Pack follows up with one as well.
Well, suddenly they've been able to get 2 back in, but they still obviously down 1 body. They still have a little bit of a disconnect. And oh, just seen the sliver of a head slip on by. Concerned about the rotate coming from behind them, but otherwise they've given themselves a little bit of a backswing onto the side itself. Mission, he's edged on that entrance, that door to potentially swing onto Trophy. There is the either-sidedness of that connecting player in between the pair of them. Just saw the sliver and the shake of a side body there, and Keenan, he wants to try and get himself a little bit closer. They have a lot of time, but they don't have much confidence in the territory that they have, and you cannot truly watch the flank on either side of this. They have to see if they can just bite one more body. It's the shotgun that pops around the corner, gets another connection there. Exodus is able to take care of Keenan, puts Packbull to a 3 versus 1 scenario. They want to see if they can bait the swing, finds one, tried to connect with the second because they knew it'd come.
Didn't even get
the
first.
No, that was it. It was, they sort of had a couple of moments there, a couple of hundredths of a second before they knew that shotgun was going to make an appearance.
Yeah.
And had to try and bait it.
Still good they won that round in the end there, Pones, though, because I was going to say, it's a 5v2. There's no way they'll lose that. But then they started to toss bodies away. Eventually still came out on top here, though. 7-6. A singular round left. Now it is going to be the match point for Pones. Secret need to find 2. And Aviator Games will be the side where they try to start it all off. Where they head back to the defense for one last time here today. Since we do not have infinite OT during league matches.
Oh, we can't do that when we have Tim and Des on the talent team.
That would be...
We'd never leave.
We'd never leave. No. Unless it's the last game and that goes until like 6 AM, then, you know, it's... You close up. So here's the key.
Good luck. Just turn the lights off.
Here's the production key.
7-6. Pones, they've been able to pull themselves ahead once again. And to be fair, it's been a while. If you only caught the second half of this map, you would be forgiven to assuming where that fight from them came from, because in their attacks, they were all over their opponents here. They would have taken the first 5 rounds were it not for an ace clutch out. That's how much domination they had in that opening half, including a flawless and one where it was still 4 of their players left alive, or 3. So, you know, it was a bit of a tricky stint for them on their defense here. Winning that opening defense puts them in such a good position now to lock this out, take that full 2 points. They have to try and make the connections here they did at the very beginning of their day today.
Their clears of those main stairs have been proven to be effective. Unless they left it too late. That is when they started struggling. So they need to make sure that they bring in that same pace as they have before. They need to find Pack Bull, and with that, a whole lot of the map will suddenly open up. So if they do manage to get a grenade in at the very right angle, they might be able to win it here right now. Otherwise, we might be seeing around 15. I'm not quite sure yet. There's still plenty of questions left unanswered right now. And as the first smoke canister has gone off, the second one will be deployed, pre-deployed, not detonated yet. It's just waiting for a bit of a push to come in from any of these players. But a grenade might end that. No, but that's the support mechanism's gone, though.
This is exactly how Pack Bull played it and held them off before. And then he got a double kill with that shotgun on that staircase. But, as you said, this time they've been able to get rid of the support structure. The shotgun's still locked in. There's more of a burn. The Wamai is offering everything that they can. That grenade, there was no escaping that one. Who knew where that indicator was? Keenan's going to move in and see if he can try and retake some of the pressure here as more explosions pop in and pop down. But the shotgun's not going to be there this time. Keenan is going to have to see what he can try and get a connect. Just saw the tip of a hammer for a second, and a little bit of damage is trying to be done here. There's the player, and the diffuser goes cold, and he's dip, dodging, diving, but he can't quite get it locked in. Exodus, however, who has had a storm of a game, finds 2 on the staircase. The pre-fire comes through from Gomfi. Expected the angle, takes care of a big player, but look at the health on the 2 remaining defenders. The dream team pairing that has been across the pond and back again for a year, trying to get some solidity, could be that last line, that sort of ballast to get them in, but with a minute roughly on the clock, still with pocket utility across the 3 attackers, apart from that last burst there. They're going to see if they can just get the edge of here with this grenade. It doesn't take much to kill Gomfi, and that'll do it. Just leaves Sleben left, and a 3 versus 1, barely any health. Doesn't see much of it though. Pawns are able to take their opening game here and able to take care of Secret. It was closer than you would have thought. Secret found some energy, but it's not their day on this opener.
Exodus going for a little bit of a dance there underneath. But yeah, I mean, it should have been their win a little bit earlier, we dare to say, on the side of Pawns. But today we seem to have an attack-sided Villa. And, well, they were able to get the extra defensive round in the end, which was the decisive factor, and made sure that they are able to pick up these 2 points here today.
And that's it. That's the important part of this, because as we said, for a lot of people, this roster, sure, it was more about who they were replacing than themselves, but they were at the bottom of everybody's expectation boards. Now they've sort of guaranteed at least they're fighting for above that, but it's how much further they can go. We'll throw it over to our desk, they'll break it down, and we'll see what the interview has to say.